Oh, hello and welcome to the Rangers Rabble. We're going to start tonight with apologies straight away. Apologies, number ones, for being late. Apologies for me not knowing what's going on because Martin just went like that to me. I need to go. You're going to need to host. I'm going to apologise for the more content. So, welcome anyway, join us. We're pretty much here to just have a chat about the famous Glasgow Rangers. We're properly winging it. Other apologies going to be I'm not able to bring up any of your comments and stuff like that, but we will try and, if there's any good ones, we'll try and read them or bring up your points and stuff like that. So tonight I am joined with Scott Kerr. How we doing, Kerr? You all right?
I'm fine, Mark. Yourself?
I'm all right. I'm surviving, only just. And the world famous Wolf. How we doing, Wolf? You all right?
And the final apology is I'm here as well. Yeah, I am fine, Mark.
Fine. Funny games. So say just to let the listeners know that what happened was we were all set to go live. There was talk of phone-ins and all sorts of good stuff, and Martin got a phone call. His wife's broke down, so I hope she's okay. I hope her car's okay, but he's had to dash away. So he's a man with an agenda. So we're pretty much just going to wing it today, guys. So I dare say we've got enough waffle between the three of us to carry on for a couple of hours anyway. So we'll just crack on. So
I think, Mark, that people would call it karma for Martin, given that he was with his brother in the home end yesterday. So I think we'd maybe call that a bit of karma.
You just flung him under the bus there, haven't you?
No, his brother plays for him, doesn't he? So I mean, you know what he's like, anything for a free lunch.
I know.
Well, this is it.
Freebies.
He's your man. I bet he was fighting for a free pie as well.
I'm sure he was. I don't know why he was on the other end. So
There's banana 449.
Top banana. As I said, we can't bring up your comments and stuff like that, or your super chats, but we will. If you stick stuff in, we will try and get them up there, and at least try and talk about it and let people know that you're supporting us and what you're saying comments wise as well, guys. So if you keep them coming in. Hey, we'll just kind of go a quick run through with the Dundee United game. Kerr, what was your thoughts on it? As I said, I know they say it's that proverbial game of two halves and stuff like that, but what was your overall thinking on it?
Three halves when it comes to me, Mark. I was on the reaction pod yesterday, and overall I thought it was a good performance. I know you can talk about first half being slow and stuff, but I thought we won 2-0. We didn't really put under any pressure. End of the day, it was quite an easy victory, I thought, at the end of it. And I think we're getting better. You can see in spells we're getting better, and you can see the players are listening more to what the manager wants. But obviously, there's going to be a few ins and outs between now and the summer. So, but at this moment in time, I'm happy we were heading.
Yeah, as I said, I thought I've seen bits and bobs of the game. I've never seen a lot of it, to be perfectly honest with you guys. But for what I seen, we were poor. I think we were trying to force it in the first half. Second half, we kind of sprung to life a wee bit. But what's your take on it, Wolf?
Oh, first half was a snowfest. First half was terrible. I don't think we weren't moving the ball about quick enough. It was lethargic. It was just the way first halves have been for us really in the last few games. Very, very much the same as the first half was against Celtic. To be honest, we weren't really at the races. Although Dundee United didn't really threaten too much. I thought they should have scored just before half time, and the boy put one by the post. I don't know who he was, but he stuck one by the post. It looked easier to score, but. The thing that will stick with me for that whole first half, and if you only saw bits and bobs, you might not have realised that this even happened. On the 23rd minute, when Stephen Fletcher had a swipe at one across the goal, and it went out for a bye kick, and he walked out the box, and the referee and the linesman gave a corner. There's not a Rangers player within what 2 yards of the ball, and both match officials gave a corner. I mean, unbelievable. It just sums up how bad they are. But that, to me, that was a highlight of the first half because we really weren't at the races.
Yeah, I mean, did anybody get pass marks? But I'll ask you to use the first half, especially. Did anybody get pass marks in the first half? Go you, Kerr, first.
I think you need a bit of credit. I thought, like I said yesterday, I thought they were compact. I thought they were well drilled, disciplined. They kept their shape really well. And we were quite lethargic, but we were struggling to break them down. I thought we weren't having any runners. Michael Beale didn't have any runners. Nobody was going beyond the striker. Nobody was making space for themselves. So everything was just a simple pass you were doing. We weren't trying to get behind up between the lines. Second half that changed. I don't know if it's a substitution that changed it or just the players up the tempo. But listen, you're never going to dominate a full 90 minutes, no matter who you are. And at the end of the day, we get 2 goals and 3 points, and we never really looked like conceding. So I was happy.
Yeah, as I said, there's a good point. Oh, the other man there. What's happening?
Managed to get the car going, so she's going to manage home. But I do have to watch my phone just in case I do have to go.
She probably said, "I'll date myself. I'll get Martin. I'll just date myself."
I was that way with the pod tonight as well.
Brutal. I apologise to everybody for the start there. I don't even know what the audio issues were or anything. My sincere apologies. I could hear it for the kitchen while I was on the phone. I did hear what you were talking about. So I'll take basically, Mark, everything that you've just asked the two guys. In fact, I'll break it down. I'll break it down a wee bit because we have got some transfers and that to discuss possible transfers. But what was your overall thoughts about the game then? And I hear Wilf threw me right under the bus.
No, I did.
I just told the truth that you were in the home end with your brother. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
Never again.
No.
Never again.
There's telling the truth and there's telling the truth, Wolf. You know what I mean?
I'm 140 mile away from him. I'm quite safe.
Aye. Well, my thoughts on the game. I think that we're struggling. We're struggling to get into games. I think that we're still playing with a wee bit of fear for the first half. And I think that's it's almost like a kind of hangover for Gio. I think I think that once we settle down, we start playing, and I think at the moment it's starting to take us a half really to try and get moving again, and to try and get we're kind of get rid of our PTSD for the first half. But we done all right without creating, and I think that was the big thing. I think that we looked more comfortable, although we never really created much. If that's, I know it's a kind of contradiction in terms, but I think that having 2 centre halves, what a massive difference it makes. We look far more solid. I know that obviously they kind of had a couple of good wee runs and stuff like that, but I think in the whole we just looked so much more comfortable. Second half, yet again, another one. Cholak injured again. You just can't make it up. But anyway, we'll maybe talk about that a wee bit later. But second half, I thought, I know we've battered Alfie to death, and I thought that Alfie made a big difference in the second half. I thought his physicality. I think that not so much what he was doing with the ball, it was more what he was doing without the ball. I think that his movement and his physicality, it gave their 3 centre halves something different to worry about and think about, and which for me created a wee bit more space for everybody else. And I thought that we, like I said, we got rid of our Geo PTSD for the first half, and we kind of started getting into a rhythm a wee bit. As I say, I don't know what Bale's saying to him at half time, but whatever it is, he wants to say it at the start of the game rather than half time, so that we can actually start a game. But look, I can see, still wasn't great, and I spoke about performances the last time I was on here, but for me, I can see progress, and that for me is massive. I can see them, I can see the players looking happier. I can see them wanting to fight for the ball a wee bit more as well. So for me, progress is everything. I don't. I know that I've said I want performances, but for me, progress is what Bill got brought in to do. Progress this team. As I said, I know I've waffled on for about half an hour, but
no, but listen, it's a fair point, Kerr. It seems to be the way they know that we don't start well, but once the team kind of clicks, we look really good. Is that fair?
I think it's just the way we're progressing. The players are obviously working under somebody different. Their fitness is coming back. It was never 100% at the start. at 60 minutes in games, like some of the players were blown to their backside, and I think it's just a different number of things. Some players maybe know their time's up. Obviously, they're not going to come out and say that, but some maybe know behind the scenes and they're going to be here next season. Some are fighting for maybe a new contract, and some are trying to show the manager they want to be here next season. So it's a bit of everything. But I just think we're trying to play more on the front foot. But like I said earlier, you can't do that for 90 minutes. Doesn't matter who you're playing. Doesn't matter if you're playing St Mirren, Celtic, or Aberdeen. Doesn't matter who you're playing. They're going to dominate for 90 minutes. And yesterday, I thought the game was quite easy for us. I didn't think United offered anything. Like I said earlier, Martin, they kept their shape well. They were disciplined. They tried to hit us on the break, which we knew they were going to do. But I thought their shape in the first half is better than the shape in the second half, only because we started getting runners in behind and they struggled to deal with that. And I think a goal was always going to come for Rangers. I was never worried. And once it came, then the next one came quickly after it, and that was a game done after the second goal. And you could turn the floodlights off because everybody knew it was finished.
And it was a very, very painful watch for me. I wasn't going to tell anybody that I was in the home end, but obviously Wilf decided that he would tell everybody. It was the only way I could get a ticket, but it was extremely. I'm never doing it again. That's what I don't care who it's against. I'm never ever doing it again. I'm going to say something that I haven't been able to say for a long, long time. Now, I'm hoping this doesn't come back to backfire because I had to shut everything down because I thought I was rushing out. So I've started it back up again. But give us a call. 0141 628 7237. I'm hoping that this is the Rabble phoning back. If you want to talk about, transfers that may or may not be doing, what positions maybe you think that we should be strengthening first. If you want to talk about the Dundee United game, if you want to even talk about the upcoming Cup semi-final against Aberdeen on Sunday. Obviously, we'll have a preview out for that on Friday. But if you want to discuss it earlier, then by all means. But yeah, call 0141 628 7237 now. And if you phone right now, you'll come straight in. Sorted. Wolf, the one thing that didn't seem to surprise a lot of people, but it surprised me, was the fact that John McLaughlin started. My thoughts were that John McLaughlin was going to be the cup keeper. But were you surprised?
I was, yeah. I nearly didn't notice because I just looked at the team and I didn't look at the goalie because I just expected it to be Alan McGregor. And before I carry on, can I go back to a comment that was made just as you came back on from George A, who I met outside the Superstore before the Motherwell game, I think it was. George came over and said hello, so it was great to meet you, George. And thanks for saying hello tonight as well. But yeah, I was surprised that McLaughlin was in. I can only assume that because he's a cup keeper and there's 2 big cup games coming up, he wanted to give him some game time. But we'll find that out on Sunday if he plays in goal. But the fly in that ointment is we've got a midweek game between the 2 cup ties. So does he give McLaughlin 4 games in a row, or does he go back? Does he go back to what we did under Steven Gerrard in the season we won the league, when they alternated the goalkeepers a lot at the start of the season, which really, really ground my gears, because I think you should just have a steady goalkeeper. As Mark was saying, defence looks an awful lot better because we've got a settled centre-half partnership. They really need a settled goalkeeper behind them. I mean, there was once, probably the most dangerous Dundee United were yesterday was when Ben Davies passed the ball back to McLaughlin, and McLaughlin just wasn't in the middle of his goal. You know what I mean? And it kind of rolled and he caught it about the 6-yard line. Now, if you pass the ball back to your keeper, you should never pass it within the width of the goal anyway, just in case. But he obviously expected it to be somewhere that he wasn't. So I don't know how much notice that they had that McLaughlin was getting the jersey. So I think it's because he's wanting to give him game time before a big cup semi-final, but I don't know. But yeah, it was a surprise to me that he started the game.
Right, well, I'm going to try this, and I'm not going to try this once, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I believe we are joined on the phone by Ian. Ian, how are you doing?
Hello, lads. It's been a while. I think last time I rang, Ronaldo was still playing for Man United, so it's been a long time.
What do you want to talk about then, Ian? There's plenty to discuss.
Yeah, don't worry. Come on, let's get into this. Okay, let's just put it this way. Sakala is he bit of a Jekyll and Hyde type player. 1 minute he's looking at the business, but then we get the first. I generally think that if other clubs watch him, you just got to false sell the bill of goods and show the second half version, saying, "Oh yeah, best player in the world." Just don't show the bit where he's like giving the ball away sometimes. But what can you say? Progressive win. We had to do a bit more differently in the second half. First off, forget about it. It was like wasn't an easy watch, but then second half we got the business done. This was a better win because obviously I still have vivid memory of last season. This was one of I felt like we lost the league. And we joined.
I think we're all on mute. That didn't sound too clever.
No, it started off okay and then kind of fell away. So,
but I was actually going to bring that up when I was racking my brains for things to talk about. But Sakala, man, first half he looked as if he'd won a raffle to play for Rangers. Second half, what a goal! It dumbfounds me. The only thing that I would say in his defence is that see whoever's going to look at his YouTube reel, and if they buy him from his YouTube reel, he's going to look like a player, and he's going to look like something special. Wolf.
yeah, I mean, Sakala's frustrating because, as you say, he looked. I mean, first half nobody really ripped up any threes yesterday. I know what Kerr said. We didn't really look in any danger, and well, we're comfortable enough, but there was nothing startling there. But Sakala, a lot of the time he does look like he's a prize winner, and then he pulls one like that out. I mean, I was right behind it when he hit it, and I thought that's a great goal. And I've watched it back since, and it was actually an even better goal than I thought. Because that touch he took to control the ball, the touch with his right foot to control it onto his left, 99 times out of 100, Fashion Sakala puts that into the stand. That first touch before he even shoots at the ball. It was an absolutely superb finish. And it's what we needed right at that time. And he does it all the time. I mean, his numbers are brilliant. His numbers are fantastic with his goals and assists. But the rest of the time, he's an enigma.
It reminds me a wee bit of Nacho. I mean, I think Nacho Novo was actually a better player than him, but it reminds me of that kind of Nacho Novo that 1 minute he's like a headless chicken, the next minute he's scoring goals. I think that Kerr, you're on mute, Kerr, but I think he I think the line tackled him at one point in the first half and took the ball off him. Explain it to me, Kerr, because I have no clue. I don't know. Far as I'm concerned, see the wee man, see if he only scores goals, he's in my team. Doesn't matter if he falls over the ball or the corner flag tackles him, takes the ball off him. If he's scoring goals like that, he's in my team. Talk to me.
I think he's just obviously that's frustrating. I think a lot of the time he doesn't know what he's doing, and that can be frustrating for him. But one thing about him, he never gives in, doesn't he? He always tries. And I know the first half he was running into their fullback constantly, running down alleyways that he shouldn't be running down, and then he scores a goal like that because it's like when he doesn't have to think so much, he does things really well. But when he's given a couple of seconds to think what to do, he kind of struggles. But to me, he would always be in the squad that's somewhere because you have to talk about his numbers, and we can all say he's not a great player, he's not this. And I've been critical in the past. I'll put my hands up and miss it, I have been. But when you get somebody like that on the bench that come on with his pace, and he can score goals, and especially in the league, I mean, you always need a guy like that because, like I said, his numbers are good. He'll run all day for you, and I don't know. I asked him to score 3 or 4 goals in the last 3 or 4 games. So plus he's got a couple of assists, and he was involved in the second goal. He might have done better with his shot, but it came back out to Tillman after Boy cleared it, and we get the second. So he's always in about it. He doesn't hide. He's not like Scott Wright will come on and maybe hide or Matondo, who we just can't figure out what's going to be Matondo. So out of the 3, Fashion's always going to be your man you go to because he's the only one that's producing anything. Yeah, he frustrates you, but he's getting you. I mean, he's getting your numbers, and you might all turn around and say stuff about him, but you can't argue with what he's given us so far.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, for me, I know that it's a phrase or a thing that's said by lots of players, an enigma, but it's just a contradiction in terms, and it's sometimes it's dumbfounding because, as I said, in the first half, I had my head in my hands. I was going like, what is he doing? I mean, and I was actually shouting at the telly, and I very, very rarely do this because I'm very much, when I'm watching a football, when I'm watching Rangers, I want them all to do well, and I hate to criticise our own players, but I was shouting, somebody take him off, for God's sake, put him in his misery. And as I said, perseverance. I had somebody, see if somebody in the comments can jump on jump onto the internet and find out what his goal to game ratio is. I'd love to know, because the wee guy scores goals. I mean, that's really all he does, but I mean, that for me is absolutely phenomenal. Unbelievable, his goal to games ratio. But there, well, you said it. We'll move on a wee bit and we'll talk about Tillman's goal then. I think that probably 9 out of 10 players, maybe even 10 out of 10 players, would just hit that into the ruck of players and it wouldn't go in. Wolf. I mean, he took a bit of composure that to bring it down, and you seen him wait for a space to open before he struck it in. It's a great finish.
The most surprising thing for me was, it was a great finish. The most surprising thing for me was that he was a Rangers player striking a ball from 16, 17 yards and it didn't go out the ground. Because normally our players hit the ball from where it just goes high, wide, and not very handsome. You know, and it was a terrific finish. I mean, I was screaming at him just to hit it when it came back to him. I mean, it was one of them that pinballed about a bit, and then it was just an incredible. It was. I mean, he passed it. He didn't even hit it. He just passed it into the goal. And if you look at it, and I've watched it back a few times since I got home, if you look at it, there was only one place you could put it that it would clear all the bodies and score, and that's exactly where he put it. I think that's why he took his time, and he picked out exactly where it was going to go. He got his abacus and his set square out, and got all his angles right and stuck it right in the corner. The only place you could put it, and it was a terrific finish. And again, he's an enigma, because to me, Tillman's a bit of a luxury player. You know, he doesn't give you everything you probably could. And he's only 20. He's still got a lot to learn, and he doesn't give you it for 90 minutes the way we'd expect him to. But he pulls out things like that. And I mean, his goals to game ratio is fairly decent as well. You know, and that's what they're there for.
Definitely, and I'll ask you two this question. I'll go to you first, Kerr. Do you sign Tillman? Obviously, we're going to start talking about signings and stuff like that, inbounds and outbounds and stuff. But do you sign him, Kerr?
I was 50-50 since he came here, but the last few while I've watched him more closely, and I would, yeah, because I think even if you get 6 months out of him, you make a profit from him.
How's your Willie? You all right, Willie?
Aye, I've been called in an emergency. Apparently, Martin's electricity's went down there in the house, so you're stuck with this.
Big Sexy just joined us.
Exactly. I just happened to be sitting doing absolutely nothing as usual, so he called me in as a replacement. I was just listening. Well, it's one of these things. It can happen to anybody at any time. I'll just let you carry on, and I'll just jump in. So feel free to just carry on chatting.
Aye. So as I said, what we were talking about there was. Obviously, we spoke about Tillman's goal, and kind of we're talking about him as a player, because obviously we'll start talking about who's coming in, who's going out. I know he's got a pretty big price tag on him, Willie. But would you sign him? Would you spend the money on him?
Well, I suppose it depends what the price tag is at the end of the day, isn't it? I know there's been rumours of kind of £5-6 million potentially. Look, I think we're still talking about a kid that's playing his first full season of men's football. I think maybe that's something that kind of gets a bit kind of passed over at times. In the main, he's only played for Bayern's second team, and he's had maybe about 10 appearances, I think, for the first team. So we're talking about a kid in his first full season of men's football. But I'll tell you something, the kid has got so much ability. And I know people keep going on about stats these days, like goals and assists. Well, if you look at Tillman's, you can't argue his goals and his ability to create chances for the team. And, from what the manager's said so far since he's come in, he's obviously a massive fan. So I think everything's pointing towards Rangers doing a deal for him. But yeah, again, it's maybe one of those deals that you only have the player for another year, because at his age, there's going to be clubs sniffing around, even come the summer potentially, and it might be that Rangers buy him and sell him in the same summer. I mean, that wouldn't be something that, sort of couldn't happen kind of thing. Obviously, if the money's good enough, then a player could go anywhere.
Yeah, so I mean, in your opinion, if you're the manager, are you signing him, yes or no?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%, mate. Look, I think he's a very good player. A 20-year-old lad that's come into our first team, and he's looked like one of our best players. And for a guy to just come in and do that in his first real full season, I think is impressive. And it shows you, if this is a kid in his first full season and he's still getting used to like the style of football and the combative nature of Scottish football, he's only going to get better. Do you know? I mean, I'm not a stats-based person. I just watch the player on the pitch, and like, obviously my judgment is like how well he's playing. And in the main, this kid's played very well in most of the games that I've seen him. I just think he's a highly talented footballer, and I can see why we brought him in the summer. And to me, he's only going to get better and better and better in the coming years.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that if you look at the boy from when he come in to now, so what's that, nearly 7 months, say, the improvement in him, I think, is massive. I think even I know he's a big lad, but and his stature it looks as if he's grew up in 6 months. To say, and he looks as if he's more comfortable being in the first team, and obviously more comfortable with the kind of rough and tumble of the Scottish game. Wolf, obviously, last but no means least, yourself. What's your thoughts on Tillman, and would you sign him? Would you spend the 5 million?
If it's rumoured to be between 5 and 6 million, I'd sign him tomorrow if we could get him tomorrow. Because even if he doesn't cut it with us, because Scottish football is a bit kind of rough and tumble, and he's not really that kind of player. That's why it's taken him, I think, so long to settle, because it's a completely different game to what he's used to. I mean, I think Tillman's the sort of player. See, if he's playing in Spain or Italy, they're already talking telephone numbers for him because he's that good on the ball. But in Scotland, particularly playing for us, you don't get that sort of time. Sign him for 5 or 6 million. There's absolutely no way we'll lose money on the kid.
No.
I mean, I believe the deal's structured that whatever the purchase price we've got agreed with Bayern, they've got first refusal to buy him back if he comes to us, and obviously that'll be for a few quid more than we buy him for. And it wouldn't surprise me if we sign him, and as Willie says, we might have him a year, then Bayern come in and buy him for the pre-agreed fee, and then within a couple of days they'll sell him on for big money. You know what I mean? Which would annoy us. It would really annoy us because we could do that, but we obviously that's probably why Bayern have structured it that way. But they're not really the sort of club that would do that just to be nasty. So they might not. But I think he's certainly sign him. I can't see any way you lose money on the guy because he is only getting better because he's settling into Scottish football now.
Yeah, there's somebody trying to break into your window, Kerr, in the back there. Somebody's trying to break in. Sorry, see if you batter them, it'll be live on telly. We'll just say somebody was trying to break in, that's how you battered them.
I'll not win that fight, it's my wife.
Oh, yeah, right. No,
it's all right. Well, that'll help you with your claim then, it'll be all right.
Here, Mark, I can say that, right? Like, so nobody's breaking into Kerr's house, right? Because Kerr's missus will beat the ever-loving shite out of anybody that even attempts it.
But as I said, just last kind of word with you, Kerr. I think it's good business, isn't it? I think that no matter what, even if we pay 5 million, I think worst case scenario we'll get 5 million back in this boy.
Yeah, I mean, he looks happy. It looks like he's improving. He's still young. He's not played a lot of football. It could turn into a boom song saying he does well in he says in 6 months' time he's away again. Do you know what I mean? We're to make a profit. So you take a chance on him because you can see he's got a lot of potential, but he's got a lot of ability at this moment in time. He's only going to get better.
Yeah, just a wee story on Jean-Alain Boom song. I remember watching him in his first game. I was in the stand, and I couldn't believe how good the boy was. I said to the boy sitting next to me, my actual words to the boy sitting next to me was, "This boy's not going to be here long." I didn't think it was going to be that quick, but I sat and I just had one look at him and I thought, you know what, this boy's head and shoulders above. And I quite obviously I work down south, so I'm working with a lot of English boys and stuff like that, and a lot of Geordies. And I often have this conversation with Newcastle fans, and they're like, Jean-Alain Boom song, and they never ever rated him. And I always said to them, I said, what is it with Newcastle ruining players? The amount of good players that have went to Newcastle and just been absolute dross, I cannot believe it. I don't know, but they never ever rated him. And I seen straight away, I was like, wow, this boy's absolutely special. Absolutely special. But
like the only time I would say, like the only time I ever thought he looked ropey was against, I think it was Hearts, the big guy up front. I think it was De Vries, I think the guy's name was.
Mark De Vries, yeah.
And he gave him a really, really tough game. That was the first time that you saw Boomsong and thought, you know what, he's not liking that physical nature, and he really struggled in that game. In fact, I think De Vries scored that day that we played against him, and it was the first time he looked a bit fragile. And I think at the end of the day, obviously Rangers obviously gave him some money to sign, whether that was a big signing on fee or his agent's fee or whatever. But within whatever that was, 5 or 6 months, we made a fairly hefty profit. And then we obviously brought in the big Greek who came in the second half of the season and did a good job.
Brilliant as well. Aye,
But-
brilliant as well.
But look, see, at the end of the day, I think what people have to understand is we're like a middleman when it comes to the market now. See, like, so Abel's going to bring in players that are younger who have maybe lost their way a wee bit, and we're going to help them get back on their feet, and we're going to make them better players again, and then we're going to sell them. Or we're going to bring in young players who are maybe a bit raw, who we're going to improve, like we've done with Aribo, like we've done with Kamara, and like we've done with even like sort of Alfredo. I mean, so when Alfredo first came in the door, he was very raw. You know,
Yeah.
he was very much head down running at times. You know, like you couldn't see the overall ability that he's had. And I think this is something people are going to have to accept as well. Yeah, look, we will make some good signings, I think, as well under Beale. But I still think we'll go back to the way that we were under Gerrard, where we'll sign a lot of younger players and we'll improve them, develop them, and then we'll build up a core of players that we can actually sell. Whereas under Gio, it felt like when Bassey left and Aribo left, like you looked at the rest of that squad and thought, don't think we're going to sell anybody else out of this squad. Like there wasn't anybody that was busting out there. Whereas I think Beale will get young players in, whether that is a Cantwell or whether it's some of the other players. It's bringing them back, having a good year, a good 18 months, and then selling them. Because look, that's what's going to continue to happen in Scottish football. Celtic can say all they want, but see at the end of the day, if somebody comes in and offers decent money for Jota or Abada, then they'll be first out the door as well. And that's where Scottish football is moving forward. We don't have that kind of power anymore to go out and keep players for a long period of time, unless they're happy in Scotland. But in the main, when you're playing teams 3 and 4 times a season in the league, and then maybe an extra time in the cup, players kind of hit the wall after a while and think, you know what, I want to go somewhere else. And the big selling point for us is playing in European football. That is the biggest thing for me every single time we sign a player. Yeah. That's why they come here.
Yeah. So, well, as I said, we'll move on then. Obviously, you've just said the name. So, Cantwell is a young attacking midfielder, plays with Norwich at the minute. He is reportedly a target. Obviously, Beale never confirmed or denied, but he did say in his interview after the game, he did say no names and then went on to name 2. So take what you will from that. That was his opening statement was no names, but so Cantwell, as I said, young boy, he's he burst onto the scene and he's very, very well thought of down south. I think when he burst onto the scene, he scored. I think he scored somewhere between 6 and 8 goals. His breakthrough season in the Premiership, and I set up. I think he assisted another 4 or 5 as well. So he's held his own in the Prem and he's looked the part. I think that at one point it was kind of touted about for maybe Liverpool, Tottenham, and I think Leicester as well were said to have an interest in him. I think in recent seasons he's not done himself any favours. I think that he's kind of fell away from the first team, and he was out on loan. I think it was at Bournemouth last season for a bit as well. So I think that he's a young boy with lots and lots of talent. For me, I think he's here to replace Kent. What's your thoughts? I'll go to you first, Wolf. What do you know about him, and what's your thoughts on it?
I've heard the name. I know nothing else about him than that because I know the name. I know he burst onto the scene, and just the rumours and speculation I've been hearing about him. That's all. I don't know anything about it. I mean, all he realised he was a midfield player when somebody put in the comments there that he's going to make the midfield stronger. I didn't even know where he played. I haven't had a chance to look into him because I don't usually bother with rumours. I just wait till we sign the players.
Jimmy, what I was going to say is, like, I guess everybody else, like, you see somebody's name, don't you? So you go and have a look at them, don't you? You go onto YouTube and you do your standard looking. Let's be honest, most of the stuff that's on YouTube is the good stuff he does. So you don't see the stuff that he doesn't do very well. Do you know? And these are the
Well,
things. I mean,
let's be honest, Willie. If the YouTube reels are the thing to believe, the Korean lad that was supposedly in for that Chu Gun Sung or whatever they call him, he's the next
Glad you
Maradona.
tried to say his name and not me.
If YouTube
I will see if we
reels are to
do
be
sign
believed.
this guy, Wolf. If we sign the guy, then you're permanently saying his name because the rest of us will really struggle to say that, I think. But I think the thing about Cantwell is he's still young. He's only, I think, 24.
Yeah.
You know, he's a guy that probably a few years ago he was at his peak. And the fact that his contract's been allowed to almost run out, I mean, he's basically a free agent right now. You know, he can speak to any club. He can play off the left side. He can play off the right side. He can play central. I think the bit that I read, he had 4 caps for the England under 21. So it wasn't that long ago that he was seen as somebody that could maybe push for that, like the national team squad. But like, it seems like he's totally lost his way. Whether that's stuff that's off the pitch, whether it's like Norwich over the last couple of years have kind of drifted a little bit. They've had a few managers. They've obviously dropped into the Championship, etc. So, you know, like, these things can happen for any player. To me, he seems like the kind of perfect signing for somebody like Michael Beale. He's somebody that he knows the abilities there, and he knows that he can add a bit of quality to our team, and especially the starting 11. And he's also somebody that they can probably get pretty cheaply, if not for free. That's how they'll look at it. Do you know what I mean? Like, these are the kind of guys that are going to pinpoint. I don't think we'll spend much money this month. I really don't. But I do think we'll add like 2 or 3 guys that are going to come in and add something to the first team. And I think sort of he, to me, just stands out because of his age, his profile, the fact that he did it in the Prem, the fact that at one point he was highly sought after. Now he's drifted. And just like any good manager out there, Michael Beale will believe that he can get him back to the level that he was once at. And to me, I like that kind of player because you know the ability's there. It's just getting that out of him. And I think we've seen with Ryan Kent in recent weeks that Michael Beale's slowly getting the best out of Kent again, whereas under Gio, it felt like we didn't even know that Ryan Kent was on the pitch some games.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, for me, like I said there earlier, I think he's a carbon replacement for Kent, and for me that says it all. And pretty much what you just said there, Will, Beale said that, and he's said that in his wee interview, his wee soundbite, that he's pretty much needing a move to reignite his career. So for me, I think it's a great bit of business. I think that this boy, if you look at transfer market, I think he's still valued at like 8 million. So for me, if you get him for $1 million or a couple of million when you bring him in, and you can improve him and get him back to the playing football the way he was playing, I think it's a no-brainer. What do you know about him, Kerr? I know you're a wee bit more knowledgeable than the younger players, so what's your thoughts on him? You're on mute, mate.
He burst onto the scene, didn't he? Kind of.
Yep.
The Norwich, and they thought, who's this lad? And he played with any fear, which was what I liked about him when he was younger. And he caught the eye very quickly, as young players do. And he's done really well in his first season and a half in Norwich. And issues started. Don't know if it was injuries, don't know if it was other stuff behind the scenes. His last couple of seasons has been issues. I don't know if it's with performance, with attitude, with other stuff going behind the scenes. I don't really know what happens at Norwich Football Club. And every manager, doesn't matter who it is, always thinks they can get players who they know have got talent to get back into where they were playing before, which is great if he can do it. But it's if you don't do it, that's the issue. Definitely, if he was going to come here and it was within our wage structure, you would take him, because if he's not going to cost you a lot, then it's a win-win, because you could probably sell him anyway back to an English club. But you want to know why he's been struggling for the last 2 years. You don't want somebody who does have long-term injury issues, because you've got enough of that. But you also don't want stuff going behind the scenes that you maybe not be able to deal with either. So I think you need to look at it fully, not just look at what he's done well, but look at also what he's not done. But Beale thinks we can get him back to where he was, and he thinks for us it's a no risk buy. Then I'll agree with that, and I'll take him on because you can see what he has got in his locker, but you can also see what he's not got in his locker. We've not been playing the last 2 years, really. He's been in and out of teams, kind of not even match squads, so he's been sitting on a wage, not doing a lot. And sometimes you look into a guy's eyes, maybe that's what Michael Beale was meaning, and you can see that they still have fire in their belly. Even as a young lad, some of these guys make it that young, they think they've made it as a footballer with the money, with everything else, and they've not. And that kind of goes away because they're living a footballer's lifestyle for film stars, kind of lifestyle, but they've not really made it as a player. So that's why you have to salute guys like Messi and Ronaldo, because they made it at a young age, but they kept that up at that peak all through their career, whereas some folk tail off. So it's up to the manager. If he thinks it's a good signing, then I'll back him on that. The boy Tom Davies at Everton, I've got my things about him. I know he's played a lot more football, but I'm 50-50 about him. The Korean boy, I would take in a second.
Hey, well, that's you, Messi. You've spoken about everybody, right? So we'll just wrap up there, Kia. Right, no, so we'll go on. So you've said the name, so we'll go on to Tom Davies. He's very much a box to box midfielder. I think he's very good technically as well. No shy to getting stuck in. He's another one. You maybe know this, Wally, better than me, but did they know? Was he not up for? Is it the Golden Boy Award or something? One season, his breakthrough season, he was up there with I think Foden, and I'm trying to think who the other one was. So another European boy that it was in the running. I think it was in the top four. I'm not. Is it the Golden Boy Award or something like that? So it was basically the one of the best young players in Europe.
Yeah, look, he's another
He
one of
burst on
these.
it.
Yeah, look, mate, I think he's
Yeah,
another one of
kind of.
these guys. You look at his age. I mean, he's what, like he's 24, so he's the same age as Cantwell. He's played a lot more Premier League football. That's the one thing that stands out to you with this kid. He's been capped at 16s, 17s, 18s, 19s, and he's had 23 caps for the England under 21s. He's 23 caps. I mean, that's a substantial amount. So this isn't some guy that's just had a good 6 months. You know, you don't want 23 caps if you've just had a short period of good games. He's done it over a longer period. And to me, the one thing I think that stands out in our midfield now is that we need more legs. Like, we need more guys that can
100%.
get box to box. So to me, he's the kind of player who kind of like works in that. You know, he's young, he's got energy, he can get forward. He's also
Yeah.
somebody that can maybe add the odd goal. But I do think
Yeah.
the biggest thing for somebody like Tom Davies is just, yeah, again, he kind of fits the kind of criteria, doesn't he? He's
Yeah.
24,
100%.
played in English Premier League. He's got that ability. He's somebody that Beale obviously knows a lot about because the English market's obviously one that is very strong overall for somebody like Michael Beale. He watches a lot of football down there. He's obviously got a lot of contacts. It's one of the big reasons why I think we signed some of the guys we did with Gerrard was down to the way that we looked at players. And I think, again, look at like Everton. Everton as a club in the last couple of years have kind of slowly slid down the ladder. They spent a lot of money on a lot of players. This guy's kind of lost his position in the team.
Yeah.
But we're still talking about a kid that's only 24. It's not like he's 29, 30-year-old and he's way gone.
Yeah.
You know, if we can bring him in here and we can add him into the squad, it then brings the age of that midfield down. You know, you're still talking about guys like Midfield, Davis that's in there.
Yeah.
You know?
And it brings in a lot of legs. From what I see, looking at Beale, he's brought in, I think that Davis and Cantwell, both of them are powerful runners with the ball. They can carry the ball at speed and they can carry the ball at pace. I think both of them can do that, and I think that's exactly what we need. I think that we are far too pedestrian. I think that we're very much when it hits the midfield, it slows down, and I think he's looking for midfielders to explode and run and commit opposition players, especially this playing this stupid low block all the time. Playing against it, all the time. It's so hard. See if you do not speed the game up and do not move the ball quicker and do not try and commit players, then it's so hard to beat because they just sit in and they'll just shuffle left, shuffle right, shuffle left, shuffle right, and it's so hard to break down. As I said, but I believe that the boy Davis is. I think he had quite a bad knee injury as well, and I think that that's kind of what curtailed his Everton career because I think at one point I know that he's very, very well thought of at Everton, but I think that, like you said, they've bought a lot of players and they've spent a lot of money and brought in some big, big names. And I think that it's one of these ones where he's been a wee bit overlooked as such because of the big names that's come in and the fact that he's been out for a fair period of time. I believe he's back to full fitness now, and I think he's been back to full fitness for a while. I think he's maybe started 4 or 5 games this season, but he's no a first team regular, and he's very much not in the frame. I think, hence the reason why we're probably looking at him. Do you know anything about him, Will?
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about him because again, I know the name, but the whole Davies. I mean, is he a Davies or is he a Davis? And
Davies.
is he the Welsh one or is he an English one? It's all that again, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a Scouse. He's a Scouse one.
It's going to get ridiculously confusing if we sign Tom Davies and we've already got Ben Davies, and if Stephen Davis comes back from the operation he had today, you know what I mean, it's going to get really, really silly with all these guys with basically the same name. You know, it's going to confuse people. You know what I mean? It's going to just
we'll just call him the boy with the hair. Boy with the hair.
I didn't even know he had hair, but there you go. So
he's got hurdles everywhere, and his chin and his head everywhere.
Mark, I'd just like to say about Tom Davies. He's got a lot of Premiership experience, right? You were saying he's highly rated by other clubs in England. He's played with England at youth level, whatever. Why are we in running for him? Should no other Premiership clubs or European clubs running for him if he's that good? Because to me, there's issues then. Tom Cantwell's different. He plays in Norwich in the Championship. He's running down a deal. He's not played a while. But Davies made a good name for himself. And the wages he's on at Everton, we shouldn't be anywhere near buying this player like that. So to me, there's more issues with him than there is with Cantwell. That's how I'm 50-50. I don't want to sign a guy who ends up like Dele Alli, doesn't give a toss about it because it's like you've done it and whatever. You want to sign somebody who still wants to come up here and prove himself to maybe get another move. So Davies on 50-50, Cantwell, he's worth the gamble.
Yeah, I think that I think there's probably a wee bit of that there, and I think that's a massive part of why Beale sat these boys down and looked them in the eye, and I think that's for me is massive. I think that I think man management wise, I think Beale's honesty, I think, is a big thing. I think that if I was a player, that kind of honesty is something that you would relish. But I think he's very much especially with younger boys, he's very much a nurture and a kind of put an arm round. And I think that for me, these two boys are at a point in their career where I think that Davies, I don't know, it's quite well known the fact that he's into all sorts of mad clothes and all that with Calvin Lewin. There's all sorts of mad pictures of him wearing stupid outfits and stuff. So I think that's you've probably got a wee bit of that as well. But I think the other side of the coin is as well, you don't know who else he's talking to. And the thing is, with the boy Davies as well, that there's no really been the same kind of buzz about his name as there has been Cantwell.
I'll just ask a question to you, Wolf and Willie. Say Davies and Cantwell do come in. What happens to like Charlie McCann and Alec Lowry? Do they go further down the pecking order? Because if that is the case, I see clubs sniffing about they too, which I wouldn't like to see them leaving. I like to see them getting a chance with us.
No, 100%. I would get 100% agree with that,
Yeah, look, I think it's a fine line here. I think it all depends on what the manager's doing this month and what he's doing in the summer. See, as long as he's telling the players what the long-term vision is for the team, then I have no issue with it. I think when you look at our squad right now, I think I worked out with like 28 first-team players, and it's probably over 30 by the addition of these like 2 or 3 players, right? So, like, clearly between now and the summer, I would say there's at least 10, 12 guys that are going to move on from this football club. So whether the manager feels that by bringing these players in now, and he did it a few times previously with Steven Gerrard, they brought players in early to settle in ahead of next season by giving them like the opportunity to see like how we play like also understanding the trips to Pittodrie, to Parkhead, to Tynecastle, to Easter Road, because these things can sometimes shock a player for all they've played in England for several years. They maybe don't see the same level of hatred that they see up here, and it's probably a bit of a surprise to some of these guys. And I don't think any player's really ever ready for a Rangers Celtic game. You really can't tell a player like how to react to that. And I think that's one of the things that we're bringing them in now. It gives them time to settle in, but also to improve the team. I mean, like the Tom Davies one that you talk about, Kerr, is an interesting one. The boy has lost his way. Like, that's the reality. The boy's lost his way in a team that is looking as though it's going towards the relegation zone, in all honesty. So for him, it's important that he gets back to playing football regularly and getting back in the eye line at other teams. And that's one way of doing it, is becoming to Rangers, having a solid 12 or 18, 24 months here. And then Rangers can cash in on him and sell him for a fee that maybe makes us 5, 6, 7, 8 million pounds, depending on where it is further down the line. But to me, I think like these two guys in particular, out of all the names that I've seen, just seem like no-brainers. Like their age fits the bill, their technical ability fits the bill. The fact that Beale knows these guys, not just for the last 6 months, he's obviously known about them for several years. They're two guys also that not so long ago were very highly thought of and were being touted around bigger clubs, but they've lost their way. And I think exactly the type of fit that Michael Beale wants in his team. And I would be amazed if at least one of these guys doesn't sign in the next 3, 4, 5 days. I think you'll want these guys in so that after we've played the cup game against Aberdeen, at least one of these guys is in the squad for the next league game.
We've also been linked to Jerry Yates to Blackpool.
Blackpool. Yeah, look, he's an interesting one. I think when you look at Morelos, I think there's a kind of general acceptance now that we all think he'll leave in the summer. So is this the right time to come in and like sort of bring somebody in and look at them? The problem is, how much are Blackpool going to look for this guy?
They're talking 5 million, really.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're bringing this guy in, he basically has to come in and play, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's not somebody that you can allow to just come in and allow to almost fit into the team. Basically, like this team for the last 4 or 5 years has been built basically around like sort of Morelos, because he's been the focal point of this team. So see if Beale is going to move away from Morelos, which he might not. Like he might end up signing a new deal, but if he doesn't, we need to find another focal point for this team who can do a lot of the same stuff that Morelos did. Because even we play with a mainly one up top, we need somebody that can hold the ball up, that can link the play and can work the 2 or 3 defenders that's back there. Unless we're going to stick with the 2 up front, which then totally changes the thought process of how we're going to set up and how we're going to play. But I think this month is more important about bringing in midfield players and wide players who can get forward, who can add more legs to the team. And let's be honest about it, we need to score more goals and create more chances, because that's like the biggest kind of failing at times with us. I still think at times we could do more on the ball, and I still think we could do more work off the ball in terms of shutting down the space and stopping some of the chances that the opposition have. And I think that's just down to not having the legs at times.
I think if you noticed everybody being linked, we've been 25 or under, so it's been a lot of guys at a younger age group and we've got, which is good.
See if you look at it. So if you just take a kind of a broad slice on a midfield, if we sign these 2 boys, right? So your midfield's going to go. Your midfield is going to be. I think your likes at Arfield's away. I think Stephen Davis is finished. I don't think he'll come back. Possibly Ryan Jack, but it looks of things as well. If we're looking to bring in, I mean, there's also another midfielder that they're talking about. We've no discussed yet. So you're looking at Davies, you're looking at Cantwell, you're looking at Tillman, you're looking at McCann, you're looking at Lowry. Now, see when you look at that, you take a slice of that and you look at that as a base for a midfield. If you think about the amount of talent and the amount of technical ability that's in there, and you put Lundstrom in there as a kind of almost like a father figure enforcer that's going to bark orders and try and hold the ball together. But for me, if you look at that as a rotation between those kind of 4, 5, 6 players in the middle of that park, for me that looks far more exciting than what we've got at the minute. I mean, if you look at that, as Will says, talking about legs, there's all sorts of power and pace there. There's all sorts of vision. There's all sorts of creativity as well. So for me, I think these two boys that are coming in, without getting overly excited about them, I think that you're looking at something that next season you're looking at most of our midfield's going to be under 25 or 25 and below, is because obviously some of the two boys that we're talking about are 24 at the minute. So you're looking at a very young, a very hungry, hopefully, and a very talented midfield. So for me, moving forward, that excites me massively. As I said, the other boy that they're talking about, I can't pronounce his name. Kerr, do you know the boy from Fulham? Have you heard about this boy for Fulham? I'm trying.
It's the boy in
Josh.
Oma, isn't it? Aye, Josh and Oma, I think it
Oma.
is.
Oma. And he's. I think that looking at him as well, he's very much a kind of, like, I know I'm saying replacement for him and replacement. I'm just kind of trying to, from what I see, the type of players they are, but it looks like a type of a replacement for Kamara. He's a big unit. He's 6'1", 6'2", this boy, and he's another one, exact same kind of profile. Burst onto the scene, very young, really talented. Was talk of the future of Fulham. I think he came from maybe came from Tottenham originally and went to Fulham. As I said, big, strong, physical boy, technically very good, powerful as well. As I said, and this is obviously, I don't know, maybe you're the only one, Will, that's heard about this boy as well. But for what I've seen him, it looks like same again, out of contract at the end of the season as well. And I think that he's one of these boys that, see if we bring 3 of these boys in and we make money in one of them and the other one's going to just do a job for us.
Yeah.
I think to me it's a no-brainer. If you're bringing them in for minimum fees, even if you get shot at them in 2 years' time and you make a couple of million on them, for me that keeps you ticking over and ticking over. Do you know anything about this boy, Will?
Well, yeah, again, he's another one of these like midfield players that we're talking about, somebody that could get about the pitch. I mean, just to get back to your earlier point, you've got Davies, Arfield, Jack are all out of contract in the summer. You've got Lundstrom that's got a year left, and you've got Kamara that has basically in the last year been continually linked with a move away. That's basically our entire midfield. So if we're going to start signing guys, that's the position 100%. That badly needs it. And then you're talking about Kent's out of contract. Stephen Wright isn't exactly the most kind of highly thought of guy amongst the squad. You've got Morelos that's out of contract. You've got Roof that can't stay fit. He's got a year left in his deal. So like, the middle to front is a massive area that needs improved. And I'm sure, like sort of Kerry and Wolfer agree, it's a massive part of the team that probably needs to be like sort of overhauled, if I'm honest.
100%, Willie. I mean, that it does, and the guys, as you say, Matt, they really excite me as well. But if we're bringing them in now, we need to get rid of some bodies out of that squad because we're over budget for the wages as it is. The squad's far too big, as Willie says. There's 28 or 30 players in the first team squad. That's too big. That's 5 or 6 too big. If you're playing 3 games a week at the moment, we're not playing 3 games a week because we've no European thing to worry about. So if we're bringing in, and it's exciting that we're even talking about bringing in guys like Cantwell and Davies, and if we're bringing them in, we really need to be getting rid of people from, but we need to be getting rid of them now. For me, Kamara can go anytime he wants. He's chucked it. You know what I mean? If we can get a deal for Kamara, I would sell him. If somebody comes in with money from Morelos, I would sell him because to me, he's not going to sign a new contract. So, we do need to get some bodies off the wage bill. And they did say there'd be players going out as well as players coming in. And that's quite an easy thing for the management to say. But they'll only go out if people come in for them. Yeah. You can't just say, well, there's your contract, away you go, because you're still paying them the money. So, and the boss is back.
Yeah. Can I just say, folks, I've only obviously caught bits and bobs of the chat tonight, but there seems to be a lot of arguing and personal stuff going on in the chat. Can we not do that? The chat, the Rabble chat is phenomenal. It's brilliant. And like I made the joke in the comments, that's where we get all our sources. The Rabble chat is amazing. So, and we don't want to time out or take people out of the chat. So if you don't like somebody, I think there's a way on YouTube to block them or ban them if you're not getting on. Can we just stop the attacks in the chat, please? That's all I'm asking. But yeah, my apologies. It has been one hell of a night. It has been horrendous for me personally. Wally came in and saved me at the last minute, so thank you for that, William. Yeah, I've just got a quick question, and it's for all of you, and I'll start with you, Mark, because obviously you've had to do the hosting tonight. We're seeing all these transfer rumours, right? Apparently Cantwell's undergoing a medical. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I think it probably is the way that Bill was talking about him. The rumour is he'll be here. He'll be a Rangers player before the semi-final with Aberdeen. We've obviously been linked with Davies, a few other players. The one player that we have been linked with is the Korean forward. I'm going to practice his name before I say it, because I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, because I'm not a disrespectful person. But apparently we're in a battle with the other side of the city for this boy. I only seen him once or twice at the World Cup, and he does look a tidy player. But again, we have Cholak, who seems similar to me in respects of he's a penalty box forward, and we've seen against United that we don't play that way. So would you be surprised if that's somebody that we're going for?
I think a wee bit of this is paper talk. I think that they like a transfer window rivalry that the both of us are going for this player. To be fair, I looked into him a wee bit, and he's more than just a box striker. He's 6'2". He's a big lad, and he's pretty good in the air. But for what I've seen, and obviously it's not a lot, but what I've seen is he's got a nice touch. He links up play really, really well, and he's quite skillful for a big guy. So one thing about the Korean players and Chinese players and that kind of part of Asia players, they will never stop running, and they will never stop giving you 110%, no matter who it is, no matter what position they play. They all have a desire and a hunger to play football, and they're all super, super fit. So I know that you've said that it's maybe not a kind of a Beale's signing, but for me, that work rate thing is very much a Beale signing. And the fact that he's technically, for a big guy, he's technically pretty good. He likes a flick, and he likes a wee bit of skill as well. So it's one of these ones that I think that it's a wee bit pinch of salt. I think that the other thing that would probably be in our favour is, I believe that the Koreans and the Chinese, although they are allies, do not get on. I think it's as a whole. I've done a wee bit of research on it, so they do not get on. So you'd be hoping that that be the case. He would go, do you know what? I'm going to go to Rangers if he had to pick between the two. But I think wee bit pinch of salt. I think that there's a wee bit of paper talk here. Getting flung in. I think that they're trying to spice it up because it's it's been a boring window so far for us.
Look, I think a lot of this falls back to what Michael Beale said at the end of his interview at Tannadice, saying that we were looking at players for Europe and beyond. And I think, obviously, the guy Riskin was the one everybody was talking about not so long ago from Belgium. I think there was a lot of interest in that. He's obviously out of contract in the summer, so his name might be somebody that comes back into the fold again, given that, he would be a free agent. I just think, for me, this would seem a wee bit kind of left field, this signing, because it's never really been that kind of market that we've looked at. And that's not to say that we shouldn't, given the success of one or two players that Celtic have had from it so far. But they seem to be flooding. I mean, I think that's them get like 5 Japanese players now. I mean, the big problem is if somebody like Postecoglou leaves and like a new manager comes in, is he going to have the same interest in signing Japanese players, or is he just left with these guys? Because it's easy to work with players when you know the market and you know the style of football. But then a new manager comes in and totally changes it. And I think that's the worry when you try and flood the team with players for one market. I mean, looking at the South Korean guy, I would imagine he's a good technical player because you tend to find most of them are. He'll have a great work ethic. It looks as though he's got a decent goal scoring record. I think he's under 25. I'm just not so sure he's somebody that we'll be signing. That's just my personal point. I think we need another striker that is of a similar kind of ilk to Morelos if we are going to play a particular system. Because I don't think we'll play 2 up front in Europe if we're in it. So, like, to me, we still need a main striker that's a focal point that can hold the ball, that can do a lot of the technical stuff well. And I don't think this sort of Korean guy fits the bill. That's just my personal opinion.
Hey, well, there's a few people in the comments, and I think Aldo's one of them, saying that it is all paper talk. He's signing for them, signing for the other side. So, I mean, and that's probably more accurate because, like you say, Wally, it's completely left field. But Wolf, are you surprised that we haven't? I mean, I say surprised as if Rangers give you any clues, but are you surprised that we haven't been linked with a few more strikers, or do you think Beale wants to work with Roof, Cholak and Morelos, or do you think there might be a wee surprise forward coming in January?
I think there might be a surprise signing of a forward in January, but I think it'll be a pre-contract. I don't think it'll be somebody to come in. If somebody comes in, as a striker comes in, I'll be very surprised because that'll leave us overloaded with strikers.
Yeah.
Because if Morelos has just come back from an injury, Cholak's just come back from an injury and got injured again, but they're hoping it's not too serious. Roof's just come back, so there's three strikers. We don't play with three up front, so every week one or two of them's got to miss out. So you bring another one in, that's three missing out every week. So they bring a guy in, okay, you can get used to the club, but you're sitting doing nothing. Mm-hmm. So what's the point? I think they might sign somebody on because they said they would sign players that didn't necessarily say they'd be bringing them in. So it wouldn't surprise me if they sign somebody on a pre-contract, and I've got no idea who it would be because I don't know any strikers that are out of contract. But I'd be very surprised if he brought a starting striker in, and he did say anybody that he brought in, he's bringing in to start. It's midfield's more important for me.
Yeah, plus the best striker's only going to move in January either. I mean, that's the reality. See, unless somebody throws a lot of money, then you're not going to get guys coming in January. Like, to me, if we're going to add a striker, it's going to be in the summer. And that might be on the back of sort of Morelos leaving and Roof being sold. And that would be the right time to then add somebody to the squad.
Yeah, and I think that was Wally's cat in the background. I think that's why he's put himself on mute. Aldo, 189 super sticker, thank you very much. I know it's been a bit all over the place tonight, folks, and I genuinely apologise if this is your first time watching. It's not usually as all over the place. So please do give it a like if you're enjoying it. Give it a dislike if you're a bit annoyed by all the jumping about. If you're new here, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. And if you're coming back and you haven't subscribed yet, just subscribe and turn on all your notifications. We've been having discussions. Normally, we have 3 member shows a week, but because we've been playing on Sundays, the Sunday member shows haven't been going on. But we will be moving to, unless there's midweek games, 3 shows a week on YouTube as well. We'll be going back to that, and that'll be sticking because obviously there's no European football. There's not a lot of midweek games as well because we usually have our build up and our reactions in the midweeks and stuff like that. So we'll be going to 3 shows a week, and of course, like I said, there is a members community. Which is phenomenal. There's even a WhatsApp members group as well, which I just found out about last week, which I was a wee bit annoyed about. I'm going to say I would like to have known about it. But yeah, if you want to consider becoming a member, then you can click the join button below, or the link is in the description. Kerr, I just want to finish up with something that Willie mentioned. It was about the size of the squad. And I'm not talking about money so much here, but just for the simple size of the squad, if we bring in 2 or 3 players in January, that'll be over 30 players, first team players registered at the club. Is that worrying just from a size of squad point of view?
Possibly, but I think between now and the summer it will be trimmed. I think a lot will probably leave in the summer. I mean, you've got guys out of contract, you've got guys who probably know where to go, and there'll be guys that managers do think it's good enough or doesn't want to keep to go into the future with. So I think it will be trimmed down. I think at the moment, sometimes it's better bringing in players before you release players, unless we get offers come in, because every player at your squad is going to will be sellable. It doesn't matter who they are, because if you get an offer, you can't turn down, you take it, don't you? Which you probably should have in the past. But no, at the moment, it's not worrying. But I think if it continues for over next season, then you can see we maybe get 14, 15 guys every match day sitting doing sod all. So that might be worrying, but I think it will be trimmed down.
It has to be at some point, doesn't it? John Batchelor, 449 Super Chat, channel member as well. Thank you, John. I believe you also put one in at the beginning, but my internet was playing up. So if you did, John, then I apologise for not bringing it up, but thank you very much for that Super Chat as well. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. Before we go, Mark, I seen a comment And I apologise again if you've already discussed this. But James is saying, are we just ignoring that Kent is running down his contract also? Is that a worry? I know it's a worry from a financial point of view, because we paid at the end of the day, we paid $7 million for him. But look, Michael Beale said it himself, if you don't want to be here, then he doesn't want you here.
Yeah. For me, I think that Cantwell's an absolute stick-on for replacement of Kent. I think he's
They don't play similar positions though, do they?
very much in the same mould. I think he'll play one of these 2-10 roles, 100%. I think that's what he'll play. He'll get a free role, same as what Kent's doing just now. Obviously, we've been used to Kent for the last probably season and a bit, playing this stupid wide left position, when he's always been either an inside forward or this kind of roaming kind of number 10 role. And I think that's exactly what Cantwell's been brought in for. Although he can play in the left-hand side of a 3 as well, or he can play in the centre. But I think that's what he's brought in for. For me, that's the type of player he is. He's the type of player that will collect the ball, turn, and he will drive at teams and he'll make things happen. So for me, I think that Cantwell's brought in as a carbon replacement for Kent. Maybe not as kind of tricky as such with step overs and all that kind of stuff. But for me, that's the role I see Cantwell playing on our side. So for me, I think that something might be afoot in January for Kent. I think he might be away.
Right, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give the final word to Wolf, because it's quite difficult when there's 5, actually. But yeah, I'll give the final word to you, Wolf. And can I just say before I do, thank you. I just like to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. And it's been a strange night. It's been a strange night. And John actually said he put in 3 super chats. So John, channel legend, thank you so much. Right, Wolf, Kent, in 120 words or less.
Okay.
Will Kent stay? Do you think that playing under Beale has maybe changed his mind, or do you think that it is a money issue, which a lot of people are talking about? And if it is the case that it's a money issue, I very much doubt he's going to stay on.
Right, before I start 120 words or less, right? Here's one for the 4 of you. Since there's 5 of us, give you something to think about while I'm talking, right? What is probably, I'm not convinced it's unique, but it's probably unique about Michael Beale's first 7 games in charge of Rangers. So I'm including the pre-season, the mid-season friendly in that. There's something I think is unique about those 7 games. Anyway, Ryan Kent, right? I think he'll stay. I've just got a feeling that he's going to stay. His form's definitely picked up. He seems to be he's playing a lot freer. I mean, under Van Bronckhorst, he just seemed to be stuck out in the wing all the time. I mean, I noticed yesterday I was basically standing almost in line with the penalty box yesterday at Tanneries, and I noticed the amount of running he was doing across the face of their defence to try and kind of pull defenders out the way and things like that. He's just an awful lot more mobile than he has been. He seems a lot more interested, and I actually think that he will stay. I mean, Beale's making really big noises about him. Beale's known him since he was a kid, and I think he's comfortable with the current manager. And I expect Ryan Kent to sign a new contract. I really do. And I wasn't counting the words, but
no. Well, for you, that was less than 120 words. All right. Has anybody picked out what Wolf meant by unique? Anybody?
No. Right, so he's been manager for 7 games.
Scored more with their goals in the second half?
Nope.
It will come on.
They've been played on 7 different days of the week.
Oh, for God's sake. How's anybody meant to not remember that? Don't get me wrong, that's a good one. That is a good one.
I can't claim it's mine. I saw it on Twitter earlier and I checked it and it's 100% right. He's played 7 games and they've all been on different days of the week.
Oh, brilliant. Cammy has just joined in the chat. Now, Cammy, I believe that you sort out the members' WhatsApp group. So if you could join us tomorrow night, because there's a member show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Don't give the email address out here. But I know there's an email address that you email and you get invited into the WhatsApp group. So Cam, if you can join us tomorrow night at 8 or during the show, let me know the email address and I'll get it put up on the community page on the membership tab on YouTube. And what you've missed tonight, Cam, is the entire show, because that is us done. That is us done for tonight. So my massive thanks to Mark, who was thrown in at the deep end at the last minute to host. Thank you to Wilf and Kerr as well, and a massive thank you to William, who dug me out the dirt by jumping on as my washing machine decided, on top of your missus breaking down, I'm going to turn off all your electricity. My apologies to Ian, who was on a call. The phone-in will be back on Friday, and I'm hoping that is it back for good. So Monday and Friday will be your phone-in. There will be a midweek show as well, on top of all your membership content, your build-ups, your reactions, your youth shows, the women's show, the interviews, so much content. So if you haven't already, then please do subscribe, turn on the notifications so that you know exactly when we're going to do a show, because sometimes we just go live at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for no reason and talk about Rangers. So why would you not want to join that? So yeah, thank you to Mark, thank you everybody in the comments, thank you everybody who put in super chats, channel legend John Batchelor, and for all the members, we'll see you tomorrow night. For everybody else, we'll see you Wednesday night at 7:30. Thank you for tuning in.